Hi, I'm Dylan, and we're here to talk slavery with you. And this is my co-host.
My name's Jeff.
All right, anti-slavery. Slaves should be abolished because it's a crime against every human being, enslaved in the present day and in the future. Out of every 1 in 4 people that was a slave. And did you know about 600,000 slaves were imported to 13 colonies in the United States? Although the Declaration of Independence stated that all men were equal, clearly that's not true because we have slaves and they are treated and not equal. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, and nobody should be able to be sold and be split from their loved ones. Northerners had traveled down to the South to look at slavery and see how it was. And most said that slaves were very sluggish and they had no motivation, because what kind of motivation is it when you're being abused constantly without any pay? They said that when the head watchers would always be watching him, then they'd kind of work, but not really. And then when they wouldn't be watching him, they would do hardly anything. For an example of this, we had Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass is one of those slaves that showed that they are very intelligent, unlike how everyone said they were. How they said the slaves had small brains and could not do the things white men could, when Frederick Douglass proved them wrong. To this day, slaves were still unhappy, but with how they were treated. Free slaves, despite how they were treated, and for obvious reasons, like I said, slaves nowadays even do the same thing. Slaves had the traditions in their songs, but they were only singing at night because they had to work in the morning. The songs were mostly sad, obviously. The food they had were given. The food they were given was hardly anything. Maybe 8 to 10 pounds of some kind of meat. The meat was never good. It was always spoiled, rotten, and just didn't have very good taste to it. And that was to about the whole slavery of 8 to 10 pounds. The food was very disgusting. They'd get some seasoning, but not much. They would get hardly any water to drink. They went with just about nothing to wear, only 2 shirts and a pair of pants every summer. They only got that once a year. The South had very harsh winters, and they'd only get maybe another wool pair of pants in the winter. Not much. Children got even less. 1 t-shirt until about 10 years old. Harriet Tubman was a huge part in slavery. She helped so many people escape. But then again, the escape rate was not that high. She helped about over 300 people move from their plantation. But people that were not with her, who were very hard because no one really knew where the North was. The harsh punishment was, if they got caught, was gruesome whippings. It was very intense. But not to help them, they didn't even have shoes to wear on their feet. They had cuts, sores, and all those bad things on their feet, and they would get infected. They had so many infections on their body. They were punished gruesomely when they were caught reading and writing. They were either whipped by the slave owner, or if he did not have a whip, he would chop half their foot off, or fingers, or toes. Could be anything. Or, if they were caught leaving, they'd be attacked by dogs and ripped apart. Slave owners would use some type of tar to try to cauterize the wound from either a very bad sore or after he chops off their foot. Slaves had such hard days working in the plantations that they never really had any time even to eat. They'd have to be eating while they were working. They were always in this hot, bright sun all day without any food or any water. Well, hardly any food or any water. The children had it much worse, but the children did not have as much hard labor as they did. The children got all the leftovers, which there would be hardly any leftovers because every other older slave would be hungry. So sometimes the kids would not even get any food for weeks on end. Water, barely. All these adults were hungry. They'd always think about the children, but they always couldn't feed the children because of the lack of food they were getting. The conditions were so intense in the winter that people would get diseases and die off, and it was very harsh on the children too, because the children didn't have no children had a blanket until they were 10 years old. So in this situation, the children had it a lot worse than the older men in the slave plantations did. All in all, in this conclusion for anti-slavery, Slaves were treated so cruel and so bad that no human should be treated like that. We should not have slavery anymore because it's just a bad thing to have. No one profits from it. We get we get caught and we get what we need, but why can't we pay them? Why can't we give them a life that we have? Why? How would you feel if you were that slave? The only thing that is different is their skin color. That's not the big of a difference. They are people just like us. Everything is the same between us. Slavery is such a cruel, cruel thing. Having them, having their fingers cut off, having their feet cut off is just so tragic. Slavery should be abolished for all these reasons I have stated.
Hi, I'm here to represent the side of pro-slavery. Ending slavery just might be the worst idea I have ever heard. Slavery is what makes this nation what it is today, the strong nation, many believe the best nation around. It has existed in all sorts of societies from the beginning of time, or as long as anyone could possibly remember. I can't possibly imagine a nation like ours running without slavery. They do work for us. They give us time to do other things. They do dirty work. I could talk all day about this. Just, it can't work and it won't work without slavery. It has existed for many, many years. So why stop now? Okay, now supporting my original statement of why we should not abolish the slavery. For one, slaves have helped us in a variety of things. They have helped us in the growth of our population. They have helped us financially. And they do all the dirty work that we need to do, but instead of us doing it, they do it. This leaves us time to support our families, help this nation out, become stronger, and the Africans, or as we like to call them, the Negroes, all they know is slavery. Slavery, slavery, slavery. That's all they're good at. So why would you stop someone doing their only thing they're good at? It just does not make sense. It's like the saying is, why fix something that isn't broke? It's just common sense. Okay, say we do give the slaves a chance to be free. Chances are they will probably mess it up in a blink of an eye. I can guarantee you that myself. Slaves have nowhere near proven that they are capable of taking care of themselves. They'll tend to look for a job as soon as they get their freedom. But answer me this. Which white business owner would ever think of hiring a Negro? It doesn't work like that. No Negro will find a job. Without a Negro finding a job, more than likely, they're not going to have money. They're not going to be able to support their families. Shoot, they might not even be able to support themselves. And I tell you again, no one is going to hire a Negro. As it is also scientifically proven that the Negro race has a smaller head size, therefore they have smaller brains, resulting in less intelligence. This will most likely result them in no jobs for various reasons, and they won't be able to maintain themselves, much less a family. So we're doing them a favor in sheltering them, giving them water, giving them clothes. They live better than most free blacks. Also, it is also proven that in the hierarchy, the white race is above all, and on the bottom of that is the black, and rightfully so. We give them everything they could possibly need. We give from water to clothes to shelter to food. even addressed in the debate of 1858 between Abraham Lincoln and Senator Stephen Douglas. There's a physical difference between the black and white race, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. Slavery is accepted by very, very important people in this nation. It is even said in the Bible that slavery is part of this world. It says in the Bible that slaves, I quote from the Bible, "Slaves, obey your earthly fathers with respect and fear, and with the sincerity of heart, just as you obeyed Christ. Obey them not only with their favor when their eyes are on you, but as slaves of Christ. Doing the will of God from your heart, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord. Not just the people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do." It also says in the Bible, "Servants, be subjects to your masters with all respect, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the unjust." Slaves are to be submissive to their own masters and everything. They are not to be well-pleasing, non-argumental, not pilfering, but showing all the good faith, so then everything may adorn the doctrine of God our Savior. These are just some of many examples in the Bible and references of slavery in the Bible. Many have argued that the Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal. Though it does say that, nowhere in the Declaration of Independence does it say a word about slavery, much less ending it. The Fifth Amendment clearly states that our property should not be taken from us. And our property, that includes slaves. We, the South, alongside the North, benefit from slaves plenty. They boost our population, they help us financially, they do dirty work for us, and in return, we give them shelter, food, and clothing. I see nothing wrong with this. To end this debate, we, referring to myself and very, very important people that are pro-slavery, we believe in what we are stating, and we plan to keep slavery at any cost necessary, for we believe that that is why the Negroes were put on this earth to do. It clearly states in the Bible. Many of us believe it, and many of us know. Why spend tons and tons of money on factories and workers when you can just have slaves doing the dirty work for you? Leaving it off, we give them what they need to survive. The Bible states it. Abraham Lincoln stated that he will keep slavery if that means keeping this nation together. There's many, many, many reasons why we should not abolish slavery. For it is all they know, and it is all they will ever know. I will leave you with this. Don't fix something that isn't broke. Thank you.